designing land. Mr. Litwak's career spans 25 years of exhibition planning, design and project management, and considerable work in such areas as oral history, documentary, production, management, consulting, online media, and journalism. Can we give him a round of applause, please?
So thank you, Sheila, and members of the club for letting us all speak to you tonight. And thank you both to Dr. Luce and Dr. Strauss for one of the great things about the kind of work that I do is that I get to learn new things all the time. And every time I hear Dr. Luce or Dr. Strauss talking about this project and this locale, I learn something new. And so it's really exciting for me to have that opportunity. I'm going to just cover three things. I can feel Sheila telling me to move right along, and I don't blame you. So those three things are: how did the Annenberg Foundation come to be involved in this project at all? What is it that our involvement potentially means? And in particular, what is the nature of the proposal for the planned center in Area C? So let me just say briefly, many of you probably already know, the Annenberg Foundation is a 501c3. The bulk of what it does is traditional philanthropy. It's 24 years old. It's given away quite a few $1 billion in those 24 years. I never remember the exact amount. Over the last decade, the bulk of the foundation's efforts have been in California, and with a particular emphasis on education. And that's part of why it's very exciting to have an opportunity to be involved in an educational project. Most of what we do, most of what the foundation does, as I say, is traditional philanthropy, but sometimes the foundation is actually involved in helping to develop the project itself, such as the Annenberg Space for Photography or the Annenberg Community Beach House. And we call those kinds of scenarios public-private partnerships, and the foundation seeks out those kinds of public-private partnerships where we can make a difference by leveraging the public investment with additional private philanthropy. And so in our constant quest to look for projects that might be appropriate, we discovered the Ballona project. Eric, you want to bring that up now? In particular, I want to take you back to what Shelley already showed you in terms of the original goals of the project. Goal number 2 talked in particular about recreation and about education. And that led ultimately to a feasibility report that incorporated this desire to provide a variety of managed access, recreational and educational activities. And we saw an opportunity here to provide funding to help make this part of the project at the caliber it needs to be in conjunction with the rest of the work that's being planned here. Whoops, I hit the wrong button. All right, you've already seen all this. One of the things that we learned in particular, and again, Shelley has already told you this a little bit, is that insofar as an interpretive center of some sort could be found on the site, it would be placed in the uplands area. She's already described this to you. The uplands is Area C here. And in reviewing Area C with our colleagues at DFW, at SMBRC, at the Coastal Conservancy, looking around at the options of Area C, we ultimately concluded that what made sense to develop our thinking on was Area C South. That was one of the key reasons for that, was that there are already Little League fields there, so it's already a public access environment, although right now, of course, that's not general public access, but still there was already that involvement there. There's the convenience of the bike path, which is right here. And there was the fact that as we started to study the site and look in particular at this corner, that we could be at a good remove from anything else in the neighborhood or in the community and kind of hide the project away. We originally talked only in terms of an interpretive center, but as we began to talk more and more about the project and about C-South, we realized that what made the most sense was to enlarge the kind of investment that the foundation was prepared to make, to go beyond the building and to really look at all of C-South. So as part of the broader restoration project that Shelley already described to you, the foundation agreed to take on the costs and effort associated with C-South in particular. As you can see, the notion is really to create interpretive landscapes so that all of this 30 acres is a learning experience, is a controlled access experience, is a recreational experience. I mentioned previously the bike trail, so let me just note that one of the things that we thought made sense, for instance, was to add a kind of pull-off, what we call a country lane, so that people coming down the freeway of the main bike trail, but who want to come to Ballona, can pull off here. And just to give you a quick sense of what it might look like, the idea is that bike trail might also include, therefore, a facility where you can put new air in your bike, you can get maps of the area, you can get water, all kinds of possibilities along those lines. In terms of the center itself, we actually realized that there was an opportunity here to do more than a Ballona interpretive center. And that is to say that what Shelley has already shown you is the kind of material that belongs in any kind of public interpretation about Ballona in particular, and we think all of that's very important. But what Eric has shown you is a discipline that we came to realize provided a platform not only to talk about Ballona, but to talk about some of the other kinds of important issues that Eric has just highlighted so dramatically for you. And so we refer to this project as the building part of this project as an urban ecology center that is also a gateway to Ballona. We think in terms of visitor dialogue. We put a lot of emphasis into what do the users think and do, because really, again, going back to the Annenberg Foundation, I should mention that the mission of the Annenberg Foundation is to enhance community well-being through communication. So we spend a lot of time thinking about what are we communicating. And so that's what this visitor dialogue shows you briefly. What are the things that visitors might actually want to know? They might want to know, what is this place in general, meaning Ballona. They might want to know, what is urban ecology in particular? You have this urban ecology center here. What does that mean? They want to know, who lives here? What's going on here? Who shares this habitat? That's what we thought we would focus on within the building itself. And people want to know, how do I fit in, which is what interpretation and programs, of course, help with. So in terms of the building itself, it's got a triadic arrangement, basically, 3 parts. You enter into a main gallery, which is basically the Eric Strauss Gallery. If I could simplify that, it would be the gallery where you learn about this broader framework of urban ecology before you then have the opportunity to see how it's applied in 2 wings of the building. One is wild Los Angeles, and one is urban Los Angeles. So to give you a quick construct of what's involved here. So since you're asking, or since you're implying, this is a 46,000 square foot building. Wow. It has approximately 33,000 square feet that touches the ground, but the total facility is 46,000. As proposed, obviously, all of this, as Shelley already showed you, is subject to review in the EIR, and of course there are a number of options in the EIR that don't even include this. So there's the main lobby, as I mentioned previously, the Wild Los Angeles Gallery, the Urban Los Angeles Gallery, and then an auditorium multi-use space for a variety of community programs, etc. The Wild Los Angeles Gallery is basically intended to be a transect through the Ballona wetlands. So we move from the uplands through the wetlands, through the tidal zone to the marine zone with a mix of live exhibits and interpretive exhibits. Again, this is very early on. Shelley made a point to you earlier, and I'm just going to reiterate it, that in a project like this, ideas change on a regular basis. We discuss things with different people and we hear different feedback. Obviously, there will be a large degree of public feedback when the EIR is released. But where we are today is some broad cross-section of live species like this, which would give you an experience somewhat along these lines, with a mix of interpretation, child-oriented activities, and things that you might find in a zoo or an aquarium. On the urban Los Angeles side, we are attempting to deal with 2 zones, really. One is what you might call the urban neighborhood, and what's in your backyard, and what is, when you walk down the block, what sort of animals do you see are involved there, and then the home itself. And within the home itself, you've probably heard of this part of the project, thanks to the LA Times. Within the home itself is a focus on domestic animals, dogs and cats, and within that focus, there is a program that is animal adoption that would be associated with those live animals because we think it's a logical extension of the idea of stewardship. And stewardship, as Eric suggested, is very much at the heart of what we might hope to convey to people. So this gives you a little sense about the urban backyard. Here you might see squirrels or other critters that are part of the urban makeup. And here's where you look at the human-animal bond in the home. More broadly, in terms of the project, let me step back now and give you this larger sense of the whole project. I showed you briefly earlier the Little League ball fields would be redeveloped to be a much more ecologically sensitive design. The parking, right now there is no legitimate parking there. There's kind of a quasi parking lot. The parking would be enhanced and done in an environmentally sensitive manner. The building itself is, as I said, sort of situated back in the corner, and it spreads out so that when you're in the building, you look out across the entire wetlands, look west in the direction of the Pacific Ocean. And I'll just say that obviously at this early stage, this is sort of the intention of where we want to go, but clearly in the long-term process, as Shelley showed you, it's going to be probably a number of months to a year until the EIR itself has gone through. There's still permits and so on. Obviously, we'll continue to develop the thinking on this and take input in various ways as we go forward. And ultimately, we hope that through the leveraging of private philanthropic dollars onto public investment, we can create a richer experience that enables or assists all the goals that were established originally on the project to be fulfilled. Thank you.